Hey, 7th graders, Mr. Edward, with another one of your flip lessons. You should have your transportation in the north and south work note sheet in front of you, either on your paper copy on your desks or OneDrive on your tablets. Remember your flip lesson kind of rules. When a new slide pops up, press pause, get your notes down, press play, listen to the audio, use your notes and what you listen to answer the questions, and hopefully you get them all right. All right, without further ado, let's get going. Make myself a little smaller here. All right, so out of the ways to travel in the 1800s, road travel was the slowest and most expensive. Roads just simply weren't good. To go from Baltimore to St. Louis, also this was a toll road, so kind of like the thruway, you had to pay tolls as you went. Um, and it took a long time to get to Baltimore to St. Louis in this 1800. You're talking months. Okay, it is a slow go. If there's an issue with the road, you can't really go around it. You got to wait for it to get fixed. There's not a very intricate road system at this point, but it was there. It was something you could still use if you needed to. But again, it was the most expensive and slowest way to travel. But there was a national road system again that went through the north. The other way, because of the slow road travel, what the north basically did is they began to build roads, and a canal is basically a man-made waterway. And so as you can see from the map, it's kind of the canal craze started with the Erie Canal, but the Erie Canal was definitely not the only canal that was built. And again, you want to connect the west to the east. Why the west to the east? Well, you want to connect the farms where the produce is coming from to the cities, which are in the east, to provide them with food. And the products of the eastern factories can be shipped out west to the farmers. So the canal, for example, the Erie Canal is going to drastically decrease the time to get from Buffalo to Albany. It's that trip is going to go from 3 weeks to about a week, sometimes even sooner, depending on what you're traveling. The cost per ton of shipping goods is going to drastically increase as well. So if you could not get there by road, the next way, and again, this isn't a breakneck speed. At the Erie Canal, you're going probably 3 to 5 miles an hour. That's how slow road travel was. And it's going to be drastically cheaper. Steamboats were the next one to get introduced, and this was if you could use rivers. You couldn't put a canal everywhere. Sometimes there was natural rivers. So basically, they took the idea of putting steam power onto a boat. Now, this kind of changed the game as well. Not like you think it was. Again, the first steamboats, maybe 5, 7 miles per hour tops. Guy by the name of Robert Fulton developed the first steamboat, the Claremont. Now, the key of this is not only could you go upriver or you could go downriver, which sailboats could easily go downriver, but now you could start going upriver, and this is going to revolutionize travel along rivers. We'll talk about kind of how that's going to help the South in the next slide, but this was a pretty big deal for travel. Again, another way, quicker and easier than roads. Definitely different than the canal because you could put more goods on a steamship. Now, the biggest change is by far was the railroad system. The railroad system was faster. As we built more railroads, it became cheaper, and you could send more stuff. And by kind of the 1850s, 1860s, the North's railroad system far outpaced the Southern railroad system. They had about 20,000 miles of railroad by 1850, and that's going to get even more through 1850 into 1860s at the breakout of the war. But you can see that all of this, that intricateness that we see with roads today, with the railroads, multiple ways to get to and from different cities, particularly in the north. Again, you could send those goods that you're making in those factories cheaper, faster, and in large quantities, because a train can haul a lot of goods. And again, this was something that was taken advantage more so in the north than in the south. All right, river travel in the south is the main way we're getting places. The Mississippi River was kind of the big highway of southern goods, and the steamboat really helped with that. So like we said, basically farmers that sent their goods down the Mississippi River, they could get down to New Orleans, but getting back up there was pretty problematic. So they would kind of sell all their stuff and then make the trek up by road. With the steamboat, you could send your goods downriver, but you could also use the boats to come back up the river. And that was a big thing because the South's main form of transportation was rivers. And you can kind of see in the South, not a lot of cities. We'll talk about that kind of in our next ones with urbanization. But the cities that they did have were near some sort of waterway. New Orleans was near the Mississippi River. Charleston was near the ocean. Richmond and was near the ocean. Louisville was near the Ohio River. Montgomery had rivers going through it. They used that where they did have cities, they grew along different waterways. Similar to what happened in the north, but you would also have some cities that were not necessarily near a waterway start to develop. South never really bought in with the railroad system. By 1850, you're getting about 10,000 miles of railroad track, and they don't really build a lot through 1850 and 1860 because they relied on that waterway to ship goods, both through the ocean, both through the river systems. So a lot of their goods, the cotton that was being produced in the South, was shipped via river and via ocean to the northern textile mills, textile factories, where it was spun and woven into cloth. I think this map gives you another kind of idea where you can see the different types of roads, canals, and railroad systems, and you can see it gets pretty complicated in the north. The north was, because of their factory systems, was really building this infrastructure for transportation. The South never really bought into it. In fact, most Southerners opposed, raising taxes to fund any sort of road or railroad system. They thought they should be privately owned, or you could just rely on the river system to ship your goods where they need to go. So not a lot of development of travel infrastructure in the South because it was opposed. Well, that's it for transportation. Hopefully, as you're watching this, you're starting to connect the dots of how geography and the economy and the transportation is starting to kind of have a cause and effect relationship with this. As always, if you have any questions, send me a message on Schoology. Until next time, Sons Graders, out.